Wendy Griffith. This time, people are calling into question the civilian deaths drones have reportedly caused. Both Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch have released reports documenting the deaths of dozens of civilians in Pakistan and Yemen. Heather Sells has more in tonight's top stories.
On-the-ground investigations show not only the aftermath of drone killings, but the surviving family members' grief, anger, and confusion. This Yemen mother says her taxi driver's son had no idea that he was transporting suspected militants. He did this because he was excited for an opportunity to earn some money. And this woman explains the injuries of this little girl who was hit by shrapnel from a missile. She's ill, she vomits and screams because of her stomach. In all, Human Rights Watch has concluded that U.S. drones killed 57 civilians in Yemen since 2009. In Pakistan, Amnesty International says it has evidence that drone strikes killed more than 30 innocent people since 2012.
The U.S. may have committed war crimes or extrajudicial executions. We're talking about the killing of a grandmother in front of her grandchildren in a field.
At a press conference, Amnesty and Human Rights Watch asked the Obama administration to investigate.
What we're calling for is increased transparency and very specific investigations into the unlawful killings that we've identified, both so that the people involved, the people who've suffered in those strikes, can have some form of understanding of what happened, that people can be held accountable, and also we hope that those investigations will help shape the Obama administration's policy going forward.
In May, the president said drone strikes are not authorized unless there's near certainty that civilians will not be harmed, and he defended the use of drones.
Conventional air power, or missiles, are far less precise than drones, and are likely to cause more civilian casualties and more local outrage.
But the human rights groups say the administration has since failed to provide transparency about its drone attacks and must come clean.
The U.S. government should be careful about the signal that it's sending to the rest of the world. Is killing people with drone technology, with impunity, with secrecy, with a failure at any accountability, the message that the Obama administration wants to send to all other governments that will acquire this technology?
On Friday, a UN report also called on the administration to reveal the number of civilians killed by American drones. So far, the administration has not responded to any of the reports. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Joining us now with more is Cliff May, the president of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Cliff, drone strikes have been an effective weapon against known terrorists. Should these civilian casualties, though, cause us to rethink the use of drone strikes?
Look, civilian casualties are always tragic. They happen in all wars. What we have to recognize is that this is a war. We have to go after al-Qaeda and similar organizations who are waging a war against us. Drones are probably the most precise way of doing that with the least possible civilian casualties you can have. The drones are very accurate. You can be watching beforehand. Most of the time, what you attempt to do is, or I know what the U.S. military, U.S. intelligence attempts to do is make sure that the target is, if possible, alone and in an isolated area. Part of the problem is defining what is a civilian. Al-Qaeda terrorists put themselves into the middle of villages. They hire cooks, they hire drivers, they hire people to do their wash. They have relatives around them. Are all these people civilians, or are they not? I'm afraid that those who tell us not to use drones would say there's really no other weapon you can use, and therefore you have to disarm, even though we know very well that al-Qaeda does not intend to disarm. It is waging a war against us.
Well, Cliff, should more be done to avoid civilian casualties when the strikes are carried out? Is there anything else that can be done, do you think?
I suspect everything that can be done is being done, and I suspect further, and I'm pretty sure of this, that civilians are being used as human shields by al-Qaeda. Now, that is against the most basic laws of war. But again, if you say, okay, we're doing everything we can, but any time we see a woman or a child or someone we cannot identify as an al-Qaeda operative with an al-Qaeda operative, we will not strike. I guarantee you al-Qaeda people will have with them 2 or 3 women or children all the time. That's what they'll do if they know that's a way to prevent us from killing them. You would like the people in these villages to know that it's very dangerous to be around these al-Qaeda types, that they do bring missiles down on them and on these villages. Although, to be fair, They may not be able to do anything to get these people to leave. These people have weapons. These people are brutal. Complain about them. They'll probably kill you. And that kind of killing that goes on constantly, as well as the bombing of churches and Shia mosques in places like Pakistan and Afghanistan, I'm afraid Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International don't have a lot of time or attention for that.
Well, quickly, Cliff, do you believe drone strikes have saved American lives by stopping terror attacks before they can be carried out?
No question about that. Look, drones are a weapon, and in a war, you must utilize weapons. Drones are a tactic. They are not a strategy, but they are a useful weapon. And yes, we know that the various terrorists who are plotting against us, there must be pressure on them at all times. They need to be worrying that a missile is going to come and sit on their breakfast table, that we're going to get them the next time they use a satellite phone or drive in their car. If we don't go after them, if they are able to plot and conspire in peace and in security, then we should expect more 9/11s, because 9/11 happened exactly that way. We didn't go after them. We let them plot. Well, we let them do it for a very long time, and then they hit us massively, killing 3,000 people, as you know, in a single day. They will do it again anytime they can. They are still hitting us in places like Benghazi. If we do not take the war to them, I guarantee you they will do better taking the war to us.
All right, Cliff May with FDD, thanks for being with us today, sir.
Thank you, Mark.